I think we're ready to get started now. At this time, I'm going to call on Jared Miller, City Manager of the City of Amarillo, to give a welcome. Jared's been here a little over a year. He came from San Marcos area, and he served in a wide variety of city management boards, and he also served 11 years in the U.S. Naval Intelligence Officer. Jared and his wife, Kristen, and two sons, Garrett and Grant, have a family tradition of deep engagement in community, church, and school events. At this time, I call on Jared Miller. Thank you, sir.
Well, I just want to take a couple of minutes to welcome y'all to Amarillo. This is a regular thing. I'm pretty sure that y'all know your way around. You've probably seen a lot of things different than the last time you were here, though. The downtown looks significantly different than the last time you were here, and it's going to look different the next time you're here. Next time you're here, we're going to have a big baseball stadium 30 feet south of City Hall. You're going to be able to go see a AA baseball game. Well, probably not in February. But lots of good things going on in Amarillo. I just want to welcome you here and share a couple of thoughts on how important what you're doing right now is to our area. This is an event that brings stakeholders together, all of our stakeholders, for the most important resource that there is in our area are going to have an opportunity to educate and inform our state legislators on the unique aspects of water in the Panhandle and the South Plains. I'm grateful that we have an experienced set of leaders in Austin representing us, and this is a great opportunity to provide them that information. I know that as we talk about representation in Austin, it's an interesting concept being so far away. I had a very wise man just recently tell me, and that was Ken Satterwhite, so you can take it with a grain of salt. But he told me that we are closer to a number of other states' capitals than we are to Austin. And that's true. I thought about it, and I thought New Mexico, Colorado, Oklahoma, Kansas maybe. I'm not sure. There's probably maybe one or two more. But it's very important. We are removed from Austin. We're out of sight, out of mind. So it's very important that we condense, that we concentrate all of the important information that our representatives need to be able to effectively represent us. I know, like I said earlier, we have a very experienced and well-known group of leaders in Austin. So take this as a great opportunity to inform them, let them know, make sure they're equipped to be able to represent us down south. And thank you all for being here. Spend lots of money, eat at our restaurants.
Well, we're fortunate to have one of the leaders that Jared talked about as our next speaker. Kel Seliger was first elected to the Texas Senate in 2004. Senate District 31 has 37 counties in it, so he has to wear roller skates most of the time. He's had town hall meetings in almost every county. Senator Seliger currently serves as chairman of the Senate Higher Education Committee and is a member of the Senate Education Committee, Senate Finance, Senate Committee on Natural Resources, and Local Government. Prior to his election to the Senate, he was mayor of the city of Amarillo and also was a city councilman before that. He and his wife, Nancy, reside in Amarillo and have two sons, Jonathan and Matthew. At this time, help me welcome Senator Kel Seliger.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here this morning. And think about it, and I don't know that this is just a Panhandle perspective, but today, given all the things that have gone on in the state of Texas, I think there probably is no more important meeting going on in Texas today, few of them more important in the country than this, because of the importance of water. And given our challenges, there's no more timely discussion than this one right now. Now then, I'm a little surprised because I think there's probably 150 people all involved in the water business, and you have not bought a drop of rain. And wherever I go, that's what we talk about a lot now because it's critically important. We live here in an agricultural economy, which is obviously dependent upon rain, but so is everything else that we do. And as we look around and look at communities that have some real challenges and realize that those communities cannot exist unless they have accessibility to water. And so it's always the subject of a lot of discussion around the state and how do we access water, or what new sorts of things do we go into. It's important to talk about some of the legislation that we have done and seen. One of the things that we did when I was mayor of Amarillo was set about to acquire water rights, mostly up in Roberts County in the northern panhandle. When I was mayor also, we made the conscious decision, we owned plenty of water rights at that point, we made the conscious decision to join Groundwater Conservation District. In this case, the Panhandle Groundwater Conservation District, not because CE is so charming, but because it's a well-led water district, and if one of the strategies must be conservation, then everybody has a stake in it, and everybody needs to participate, even people who have adequate water rights and things like that. And so the city has joined, and I hope we've been good members and things like that. And some of the things that you've seen over the last several years was House Bill 1648 by Representative Price right here, and for a water conservation coordinator that retail public utilities should have. In SB 821, Water Development Board membership, was a bill that I have carried, and so you all wanted to come in and hear something really interesting, didn't you? And that was when we talk about Water Development Board membership and realize that water is a topic of importance to everyone, even those people who get too much water, like Houston. They still have serious problems with subsidence and supply and things like that. Anyway, what my bill said was that, and somebody said, well, there needed to be, at one point, an engineer on the Water Development Board. Well, there are plenty of engineers in Travis County and things like that. Why? There needed to be a lawyer. Why on the board? I'm still critical of that. But one of the things I was certain of, there needed to be some representative of production agriculture on that board. This is an enormously important part of the Texas economy, that being agriculture. And it's just some things like that I think are important. I continue to be a big supporter of groundwater conservation districts because I'm simply a strong supporter of local control. And I think nobody probably views it with a more accurate perspective than those people who are going to make rules in local areas and then have to live by those rules and cultivate and harvest by those rules. As we go forward, I wrote the original bill for the State Water Infrastructure Fund. I think that's critically important and a good job for the Water Development Board, and no loans ever made from it. Has there ever been a default? Everybody does a good job of it, and people didn't understand it a lot. It wasn't just for the Dallases and the San Antonios and things like that, but it was for small communities like Seminole. Is anybody here from Seminole or that area? Borrowed about $1 million because the community was growing and they needed basic infrastructure for new areas. They needed to replace infrastructure that was old. They were so economical in its expenditure that they had money left over from the prescribed projects. And the Water Development Board said, if you have legitimate projects going forward, let's discuss it. And that's what that money's there for, because water infrastructure, be it freshwater or wastewater, really, it's expensive. One of the bills that I'm really proud of and I was a sponsor of was something that I don't think that we have seen much anymore. And the city of Midland wanted to partner with Pioneer Resources. And Pioneer would go in and completely revamp a water treatment plant, something over $100 million worth, and then they could contract for effluent and use it for completion of oil and gas wells. You don't need produced water for oil and gas wells, and they realize it. One of the things I'm proudest about representing the Permian Basin is that companies like Concho Energy and Chevron and Fasken Oil and Ranches have gone in with no directive or requirement by the state of Texas or the legislature, have gone in to use recycled water and brackish water, do whatever they need to do to bring it up to a reasonable standard and use that for oil field completions. And I think that is a good example of good corporate citizenship and responsible environmental care, and I'm really proud of that. It's going to be a huge success, and I think it's going to be a model. Obviously a model that's mostly good in oil and gas producing areas. One of the issues that you will help us work our way through is how do we deal with brackish water? And increasingly, it's just water. It requires more treatment than the water that comes out of the Ogallala Aquifer, but it is just water. And it can be used for a variety of things. And here it's in the Santa Rosa and areas, it's the Dockham. And it's an extremely important resource, and we're going to need it and use it more and more. We're going to see recycling programs. Anybody here from Big Spring? Big Spring, as you know, has a plant. I think the capacity is about 3 million a day, and I don't know what the productivity is, to take water out of the wastewater system there, bring it up to drinking water standards, mix it with the water from the reservoirs that they have, and put it back into the freshwater system. The key to that is don't tell people where all the water came from. And they recycle water all over the place. We're going to see that all over the country. We're going to see it all over the state of Texas. And once again, it's not inexpensive, but it's more expensive to be without that water. And I think we're going to see that more and more. Using produced water to water city parks and golf courses is going to become a thing of the past, because if we have an alternative source, that's a good way to do it. And there's an awful lot of things that I can talk on. The problem is that there's an awful lot of people who can speak on these issues more authoritatively. But I appreciate you having me here today and want you to know how important the people who live in this part of the state is, how important you're discussing these issues is to all of us.